Tag, it's Rich from Hughes Kettner. I'm here in St. Wendel at our headquarters in Germany with Mr. Devin Townsend, who's joined us today. Devin, thank you very much for sitting on the legendary Hughes Kettner couch with me and spending 5 minutes to tell us about what's going on.
No problem. This is a legendary couch?
It is, as of now.
Oh, okay, as of now. All right, I was looking for the backstory, but I'm going to go on. Legendary is just straight up its definition.
Hit up the Hughes Kettner YouTube channel for the couch sessions. You will discover the legend.
Oh, so this
people have sat on this couch.
Understood. Yeah, people have sat on mine too. It's a good one.
Any legends?
Zero. Specifically when it comes to romance. My legendary personality is bereft of anything when it comes to romance. How was that? Awkward. Landed it though. Let's carry on.
Let's carry on as if nothing has happened. Back to 2017 then. Yeah. You're here in Germany to talk to us, to play a few Hughes Kettner amps, to test us out, but you're actually here to play some festivals, aren't you?
Yeah, we're out for the next month. We released a record called Transcendence in September of last year, and that has put us on the road fairly consistently since then. We took a year and a half off for several reasons, but during that time we had stayed away from festivals and those sorts of things. And so now we're back. We got a month in Europe to do festivals. We just did Australia, New Zealand. We spent a month in the US, 2 months in the US, and 2 months in Europe, and the end is not in sight. So this is the next step of it. And we decided to come to Germany to Dave and I to talk to a couple of people, like to discuss things with you guys, but we also work with Framus, who are based in Germany as well. So we're killing a lot of birds with one big funny stone.
And how has this little trip in particular been for you so far?
The jet lag that we feel from coming from Perth, Australia, which is distance-wise one of the furthest corners of this planet, back to Vancouver for 6 days to try and participate in family and children and mowing the lawn and all these things. That dichotomy alone is insanity. But then we left and went to Germany, and so this type of jet lag that we're experiencing now is a type of psychosis that you can't get any other way, right?
And I believe you also experienced, was it an 8-hour road trip to get to here from the last place? How was that at German speeds? That must have been something of a psychological episode.
Yeah, it was actually. It's Autobahn, I guess, is something that we're not familiar with. The speed limit back home on the freeway is maybe between 80 and 100 kilometers. So the fact that we went 191 all the way here was something that I didn't recognize until we got to the hotel, that I had been so tightly wound as a result, and the irritation I felt at check-in was indicative of that. But it's not the freeway that is super intense in terms of those speeds. It's the side roads, because in the side roads here in Germany it says 50 kilometers an hour while we're going 110, 2 inches away from the cars going 110 the other direction. So our sensitive Canadian constitutions felt a certain amount of anxiety.
But you made it in one piece, about which we're all immensely happy, and you've been here checking out the GrandMeister Deluxe 40, the Aero 1 acoustic amp, and our lovely little town. What have your opinions been of it so far?
Well, I really like the ideas of what you guys have got going on here, specifically the MIDI implementation, because a lot of what ends up happening in my guitar world currently is that I have everything MIDI'd up. You know, I use a Kemper and I use an Axe Effects, and having those things MIDI switchable allows me to do the frontman role without having to worry about pedals and all this sort of thing. But I really do like amplifiers, and I really do like the connection that I feel with tubes and all this. But the parameters in which that has to operate for me to function professionally are very narrow. Within that is the weight and the size and the rack mountable and the amount of weight, for example, that we can transport without hefty overage fees is, I think, maximum 25 kilograms. So up to this point, it's been very difficult for me to rationalize going back to a big head, and you know, I just ended up over and over just reverting back to the digital thing, which I really do like. But what I'm interested in with what you guys are doing is the size and being able to get it rack mounted. And I think you're the only amp company from exhaustive research on my part that has MIDI, but all the controls are MIDI savable as well. So the positions in which the middle and the treble and the bass and all these things can be recalled are very similar to a digital modeling solution. So what we've been doing this time is going through the tones, because my tonal requirements are very specific. There's a certain thing that I'm going for that is maybe not unique to me, but it's something that I've come to depend on so much that I've come here and discussed with the engineers at Hughes and Kettner, Hughes and Kettner singular, whether or not we can modify the Deluxe 40 to provide that for me. If we can do that, then this could potentially be a perfect solution, not only for me, but for anybody who's doing it. And that's not to say that it doesn't do that now. It absolutely does. But my tonal requirements are something that my fingers are crossed that we could achieve. And in that case, we could potentially do something together on a signature level. Dave, the guitar player, has been using the GrandMeister 40 for the past couple of years, and I keep waiting for it to fail because I didn't want it to work, because I've had so many problems with size and weight and all these sorts of things that I keep going, oh, is that the amp that's a problem? He's like, no, it's just a cable. And I'm like, oh, okay. But we're working towards it now, and I mean, it's commitment's a big deal for me. Like wherever I work in life or with my collaboration with companies, commitment is a big deal. So my fingers are crossed that we can make this happen, because I would like to be able to not only work with the digital stuff that I use, but also be able to really get back to the tubes and that connection. But again, the parameters are so tight, like the MIDI and the weight and all that stuff. So it's really a cool product you guys are working on here.
It would sort of be a kind of an ideal personal solution for you, I guess. You'd have the tube tone, you'd have the MIDI control via the smart rotary control technology in the amp, but you'd also have something this big that you could potentially rack or even take on a fly gig when you've got 25 kilograms of weight.
Yeah. And that is ideal, and it seems to me that it's the only amp company that's heading in that direction. With me, I use the Axe-Fx as well. Now, you see, this is kind of interesting. Dave uses a pedal board, but because I sing and have a lot invested with my insecurity in pulling rock poses the whole time as opposed to trying to hit cues with my pedal board, I use the Axe-Fx with whatever amp that I've used in the past, like my Mesas or what have you. And it's a 4-cable method. So for me, running the Axe-Fx with effects pre and effects post in one rack mountable solution controlled via MIDI would be an ideal situation and very clean in terms of the ergonomics of it, right? So as was with this guitar, as was with the pickups that we worked on and the pedals that I've been working on, everything that I'm trying to achieve with companies in a personalized or signature format is intended to solve practical, real-world problems. And I do believe that these problems are not exclusive to me. So I think getting these things solved will provide consumers something that will be like, oh, cool. Well, I'm glad someone did that, right?
As you say, it's not a problem unique to you. It's something that a lot of players will experience as well. Yeah. And just kind of on that note, what advice would you give players who are watching this and want to maybe start emulating some of your sounds now, getting some of your tonal palette? Where should they begin?
Well, to be perfectly frank, you can get a good tone out of almost anything if you put your mind to it. So that aside, I mean, I can find a way to get my sound out of a lot of things. But I think it's once you've gotten past the point where your skill set has evolved to that point where, okay, I can plug into an amp and I still sound like me. At that point, it's just figuring out how much of your time you want to invest in the tinkering versus the playing. And both of those things are perfectly acceptable. In fact, there's a lot of people that fetishize the process, and that's why the boutique pedal world is so popular. And, the cables, you can get down to the minutia of any element of your gear and go bananas with that and actually never get playing done. So my advice would be to identify what it is that you're trying to achieve on a tonal level. For example, with me, I'm looking for 4 sounds, basically. And I'm looking for MIDI implementation. I'm looking for a certain type of echo. I'm looking for a certain type of clean tone from the pickups, from the guitar, from the wood, etc. But it's basically 4 sounds. So if you can identify what it is that you're trying to do, then at that point, you just make the choice of whether or not you're trying to go down the rabbit hole and you like messing around with gear, or you're just trying to get your job done. For me, I'm trying to get my job done, so there's a bunch of solutions for you. That went down a rabbit hole itself.
It did indeed, and that's
how I roll, guys. That's how I roll.
Yeah, there we go. Well, I guess at that point, we'll get you off the couch. We'll get Dave Young, guitarist for Devin Townsend Project, onto the couch, but we'll come back and talk to you both at the same time.
Sounds good.
Thanks for taking the time for us now. Check Devin out if you're in Europe. Come and see him at some festivals. Check him out online. Yeah. Check us out. Keep on our YouTube channel, because we've got a whole lot more videos for you coming up with Devin and with other people, and people who don't, try and put me off while I'm doing these amazing outros. And we shall see you later. Cheers.
A ton of bros. Dark, the darkness comes. Together we ride on the wings of the Valkyries to beautiful Harmony Ridge. I love the female form.